Welcome to Chapter 1. In this chapter, essentially, we'll look at the overview of the integrated marketing communication process, the basic communication model, the organization of the textbook. The chapter also provides information on current trends in marketing communication. In this chapter, we'll look at examples such as Miracle Whip, who in 2001 was promoting a surprisingly risky and controversial campaign. The essence of the campaign was either you loved it or hated the product. Both sides were shown in the ads, and people were asked through social media channels to provide feedback and upload videos on whether or not they liked it or didn't like it, and how it affected their relationship. The campaign drew a lot of criticism, but it was incredibly successful in gaining attention. And this is an example of the integrated marketing communication process where you're utilizing multiple channels, essentially. So to be more specific, what we'll focus on in this chapter is the highly competitive marketplace from a global perspective. It'll give you an overview of, again, the integrated marketing communication process. That is this chapter. It's a highly competitive market, as I talked about, and firms are looking for ways to stand out, and brands are looking for means to become part of the consumer's everyday behavior, if you will. Companies have a wide variety of media to choose from regarding their marketing. They have traditional options and non-traditional. Because customers are bombarded with so many marketing messages, it's vital for a company to stand out, and this occurs with a clear, concise, and integrated message, essentially. Now, when we talk about communication, we have our standard diagram here, which we've seen in other classes. The communication process consists of 5 stages, or components really. The sender is the individual or company that wants to send a marketing message to consumers or other businesses. It can then advertise, use a brochure, or even use a salesperson. Encoding essentially is the process of taking the message and putting it into an ad, a brochure, or sales presentation. The transmission device is either a television, the paper on which the brochure is printed, the salesperson at the retail store, and the receiver is the consumer, business, buyer, or really the individual who makes that decision, if you will. Decoding is the process of interpreting the marketing message. Now, effective communication has taken place if the message that is decoded is the same as what was encoded. But often, there's an element called noise that occurs and distorts the message. It's sometimes actual noise, other times it's more of a representation. Now, it can be anything that can occur at any stage. Senders can obtain feedback from receivers and use that information to start the process again. As a marketer myself on the online platform, there's a lot of noise regarding the channels that we use. If we're advertising on YouTube, there's a lot of noise on that particular channel with multiple videos. And even on the search engine results page, we see a lot of noise that can occur there. Now, social media has become an important part of the marketing continuum, if you will, for businesses particularly. A brand has successfully used social media if they promote their campaign in ways that Chick-fil-A has. It's simply an example. The online message has been carefully integrated with the offline marketing thrust of the brand. Now, fans can help administer the social media page, which has grown rapidly. The official Facebook page for Chick-fil-A allows the company to interact with its fans and provides a venue for posting announcements, store openings, special deals, coupons. Promotions are often offered on Twitter as well. It becomes another channel by which they can communicate their message, which has been developed strategically. I worked for a business in Rochester called the Wicked Moose Bar and Grill. We relied heavily on social media to advertise upcoming bands and activities that are taking place. It has become a very useful tool for small businesses if used properly. Now, there are examples of noise that can affect the communication process. Going back to our example, the message that can be encoded from the beginning can be distorted through this noise that occurs, and the intent might not always be delivered. Some examples of noise can be someone talking on the phone during a commercial or a television, or simply having the phone there, and therefore people tune out during television commercials. Driving while listening to the radio is an example, and the list goes on. But anything that distracts the consumer from the intended delivery of the message can function as noise. Incidentally, we used television commercials when I worked in the hotel industry in Rochester to market to people who were already in hotels and get them to stay at our hotels because in reality, when people go to Rochester, Minnesota, chances are they're going to be a medical patient and they're going to need lodging, and advertise to them to try one of our brands. The television was an effective method to do so. Now, let's define the integrated marketing communication process. There's some key components. It's coordinating the integration of all marketing communication tools and venues. Seamlessly marketing programs are designed to maximize the impact at a lower cost. It includes all B2B channels, customer, retail channels, external channels, and internal communication as well. The traditional marketing mix, as you've learned from your other classes, focuses on products, price, promotion, and distribution. Traditionally, the promotional component consists of advertising, sales promotions, and personal selling. Today, it has expanded to include database marketing, direct response marketing, sponsorship marketing, online or e-activities, and e-marketing, which I am heavily involved in, alternative marketing opportunities, public relations. The venues for reaching customers has increased beyond simply your traditional means of advertising, if you will. As director of e-marketing for interstate hotels for the Noble portfolio, I use a diversity of platforms, from email marketing, focusing on contacts within the CRM, to paid search channels through AdWords, through their display network, through Facebook, and really the opportunities are endless to spread the message, but doing so in a consistent and effective way to lower costs essentially is what separates good marketers from bad marketers. Now, in understanding the integrated marketing communication, it helps to review the steps in a marketing plan. The current situational analysis and the SWOT sets the stage for your marketing objectives and choosing the target market, if you will. Once these are set, the marketing person can develop strategies and tactics. And the IMC, the integrated marketing communication process, can be a part of the overall strategy to reach customers. It can also be part of tactics, which are the plans for achieving the objectives and carrying out the strategy. Implementation and evaluation conclude the marketing planning process, if you will. Three trends have caused a change in the marketing communication industry. First, there's a greater emphasis on accountability and measurable results. CEOs and other company officers want to know what they're getting for the millions they are spending on marketing and advertising. The days of spray your message out and pray it works simply is not a reality in my world, at the very least. My ownership and the $400 million in revenue we generate has a very stringent guideline as far as how we can invest resources to increase that revenue or to maintain that revenue. Advertising agencies are feeling pressure to produce more measurable results to keep accountable to these CEOs. When I sit in front of ownership on a regular basis, talking about our 44 hotels, I have to provide a return on investment for the activities that I'm doing and in reality for my existence within their organization, because they've come to understand that a lot of marketing can be tracked now if properly implemented. And this has changed the task performed by individuals, essentially. Agencies and brand managers are now more concerned with the entire marketing process and integrating the message to ensure that it's being heard and that the results can occur, essentially. Coupled with an explosion of alternative media that can be used, this becomes a very important component. While the internet continues to grow in usage, marketers are looking for alternative ways of reaching customers where there is less clutter. And that's another kind of evolving pattern. That's why we see apps, and that's why we see other elements introducing themselves. Now, economic pressure, essentially stemming from the downturn of the economy, has put pressure on ad agencies and marketing officers to be accountable for their expenditures. CEOs, CFOs, and CMOs want to measure the results, as we have talked about. And to some extent, in our organization, we look to see what the cost per conversion is. To get somebody in a hotel room, how much did it cost our company in ad spend to do that? Some channels, it costs as much as $64 spent to get somebody in a hotel room. If you're renting the room out at $120, that's half your profit right there. Plus you minus the operational cost, it leaves very little for margins, if you will. And this is the way our business essentially operates. People are asking to show us the proof that $50 million in ad campaign is working and translates into sales. In the past, once an ad agency was hired, they stayed with a client for a number of years because they knew the brand. Now companies want results. If not, then a new agency will be chosen. With the rise in the popularity of social media, there's less reliance on mass TV advertising. Agencies continue to explore alternative ways of reaching customers where there's less clutter and less mass media, if you will. When I roll into a new hotel and I'm presented with the activities that they're involved in, I look to see what the costs are, the effectiveness is, whether or not they're measuring. I was reviewing one hotel the other day who spent $22,000 in email marketing. And granted, they had a wide reach, but there was no revenue associated with that ad spend. You can very easily track revenue through online channels. If you send out an email and you tag those links accordingly in your analytics system, whether it be Omniture, Google Analytics, whatever the case may be, you should be able to track the revenue that's associated with that. If you're not, then you're not doing a good job. And it's hard to justify spending $22,000 in email marketing, in all honesty. So I told them, we're not going to continue this. We're going to cut it out. We're going to look at other ways that we can market and not spend that money that way. We can still do the email marketing, but not to the same extent, if you will. So the primary change in tasks being performed in the everyday life of a marketer and a strategist has drastically changed. It's not just creating ads for a campaign. It's understanding who buys the product, why they buy it. Is there a greater level of partnership that can be achieved through measurable results, essentially? When you look at the account executive, the brand manager, the people who create the creatives, the account planners, all of these individuals partner to achieve results, and they are measured now to an extent that perhaps in the past they have not been. Alternative media has become the new buzz phrase in advertising, especially online. The internet provides an interactivity with the consumer that wasn't present prior to its introduction and its current version. Websites, blogs, social networks all provide two-way communication. Smartphones are replacing cell phones, so consumers now have the internet with them at all times, increasing ways and means of reaching them, essentially. As a result, Companies are shifting huge dollars from traditional media to newer alternative media. For younger consumers, especially, technology-based interactions are the way to reach them. They don't watch TV or listen to the radio as they interact with newer technology. The challenges companies face and agencies face is how and when to reach consumers. In truth, when we started launching Pandora campaigns for our wedding campaigns at the Tequila Grand Hotel, we achieved extreme amounts of success because we were able to reach a very targeted market based on demographics and based on that particular platform. When I run pay-per-click campaigns for hotels, the ad designed for a mobile gets that much more engagement than your traditional desktop campaigns. Myself as a user, when I go to the airport and travel from different locations, I honestly choose Delta because they have an app, because it's convenient, because I can use Passport to essentially check in and check out. There are conveniences that I look for, and thus choose my brands accordingly. The move to integrated communication has been spurred on by the number of elements that we've talked about. Advances in communication, computer technology has changed the way people communicate. As a result, channel power is moving to the consumer. They don't have to buy from local retailers any longer. They can purchase products online and have them shipped directly to their homes. This has resulted in competition that is now global. Firms no longer compete with businesses down the street, they compete with businesses from all over the world. With increased competition, brand equity has become important, if you will. It's more difficult for a brand to maintain superiority at times. For most product categories, consumers see brands as about equal unless they really differentiated themselves. And you can tell a brand has differentiated itself when the brand is used as a verb. Let's Google that. Let's Uber our way there. And the examples continue. How often have several brands had to switch strategies because they're losing equity and a new brand has overcome them? All of these factors has increased the pressure on businesses to retain customers, and a primary way of doing that is through engagement and micro-marketing to individuals and not necessarily just masses. Now, again, let's talk about the advances in technology. It's perhaps the most significant factor that has changed the marketing communication process. The internet and cell phones provide instant communication with people and businesses all around the world. Something that happens in India can now be known within minutes in the United States. Consumers have unlimited information about companies and brands. Consumers can talk to other consumers. They don't have to rely on a friend or a relative for product information. They can access it from a number of websites and get it from consumers who have purchased the product. Amazon provides a fantastic platform for consumer review. TripAdvisor does the same thing for our industry, and we're paying attention to that now. Channel power, again, has changed and continues to change. For the first 60 or so years, there's been a lot of power given to the manufacturer. Companies such as Procter & Gamble have controlled consumer behavior. It's shifting now to consumers, essentially. At one point, Walmart was a big player. Now retailers have a lot of subjectivity as far as what control they have to relent to the consumer with the introduction of Amazon and things of that nature. Historically, they controlled the shelf space. They had the purchasing data. They determined what product and what brands went on the shelves. Today, consumers can buy whatever they want, whenever they want. They have the power. It's starting to shift more and more towards them, primarily because they don't have to purchase from the local store. They have options. Retailers who realize this are providing multiple ways for consumers to purchase their products, such as Best Buy allowing you to pay online and then pick it up at the store so you can still get that instant gratification. The emergence of online purchasing has shifted channel power towards the consumer, as we've talked about. In addition to travel arrangements, consumers are now purchasing large numbers of items online. For items not purchased online, consumers may conduct online research to determine the best brand and also identify the best price. Consumers do that to us on a regular basis. For hotels, they check Expedia thinking they can get a lower deal, or they check hotels.com, or they check TripAdvisor. In some cases they do. In cases where the revenue manager is paying attention, or where I'm actually managing those hotels, prices will be actually more beneficial on the brand side because it's a lower cost per conversion for us, if you will. And we'll get into some of those details. Advances in communication technology has led to the rise of global competition, as we've talked about earlier. Every business competes in some way with a global firm, either directly or indirectly, either for customers or for suppliers. Products can be purchased from multiple locations, and as a result, the level of competition has increased and the price of products have decreased. The challenge businesses now face is that consumers want it all. They want the lower prices created by global competition, but they want quality. To provide this to consumers, companies, manufacturers, and retailers essentially have to work together. They must become partners with mutual goals that benefit both parties. This is an older graph, but in most product categories, brand parity exists with consumers, and having a wide array of brands to choose from lends itself to that. In the mobile phone market, the global leader is Nokia at the time of this publication, with 23% of the market share. Samsung is second with 17.8%. A lot has changed over time, essentially, because that was in 2009. Today, in 2014, we know Apple has taken a huge chunk out of the mobile market, and essentially it's boiling down to Google with their Android platform, and also Apple. Windows is kind of hanging in there. They did purchase Nokia, which is interesting. Sony's still there, but a lot has changed. With brand parity, consumers see brands as about equal in quality and attributes. Rather than having one brand that is viewed as being superior, consumers have often seen brands almost equal. As a result, in brand parity situations, quality and characteristics become less important since they are viewed as being equal. That makes price the determining factor for certain industries. The rise in brand parity has led to a decline in brand loyalty. Now, this plays into effect perhaps with goods such as shoes or consumers that purchase based on price alone. There's still value in brands. I'll tell you this much, that the Marriott brand still carries a lot of equity. You put a Marriott hotel and a Hyatt hotel in a market, and 9 times out of 10, that Marriott hotel will outperform the Hyatt simply because of brand equity in place, if you will. You put a Starbucks in a market, and then you put a Dunn Brothers in a market, and Starbucks, because of its brand equity, will do well. With the increase in brand parity, however, in other industries and the decline in brand loyalty, companies have placed greater emphasis on consumer engagement. It's a way for them to differentiate themselves. Contact points between customers and products are examined in an effort really to improve the communication and the relationship. Digital media is now a critical component of the integrated communication process and the plans that are implemented because it provides two-way communication. It's no longer sufficient to talk to customers. You must develop a dialogue with them. The global market has caused increased competition. The goal, a deeper emotional commitment on the part of consumer towards the brand. TripAdvisor is an excellent example of this. We are requiring all of our hotels to respond to reviews, whether positive or negative, to ensure that the consumer sees our willingness and investment to engage with them. Customer engagement is a vital part of success. It's also important for nonprofits such as the Salvation Army, as we can see here. Mass marketing, again, has lost its luster and effectiveness in marketing to consumers because of VCRs, TiVos, and the fact that some people don't even own a TV, such as myself. Consumers are skipping television ads. Clutter has compounded the problem. As a result, companies are shifting to more micro or one-on-one marketing efforts. The focus is on the individual or small group of individuals advertising agencies have realized they must be involved in helping clients examine micro-marketing approaches. And this can be done through advanced hyper-targeting. Facebook is a perfect example of that. Those ads that show up on the right-hand side are driven by largely your profile and also your clicking habits. What ads you clicked on, what ads you click to, and things of that nature. Now, this pyramid represents the structure of the text. At the bottom level are issues such as brand management, buying behavior, and the integrated marketing communication planning process. Section 2 deals with advertising issues, sections with online alternative channels, and this is section 3, if you will, and then level 4 with database and direct response marketing, sales promotions, and public relations. The book concludes with discussions on regulations, ethics, and the evaluation of the IMC effort. Throughout this book, we'll look at different examples, and more particularly, because of the increase of global competition, firms must coordinate their marketing efforts across multiple countries. Because of cultural differences and language differences, it's a greater challenge. Firms can use a standardized approach with the means that ensure the message is consistent, but has to be applied on a global level. This works only for brands that are worldwide and well known. An alternative adoption is essentially looking at the communication by country, by region, and the idea is to think globally but act locally, if you will. Some examples we'll look at will be different brands, and particularly this book looks at a bank. But the integrated campaign in action features actual campaigns that have been created either by an agency or by an internal marketing department within the brand. This bank is one that we'll look at essentially, and its use of the integrated campaigns and really highlight the benefits of it in every chapter with examples of how the campaign is built, how it's integrated across multiple media, how elements of the campaign include magazine, newspaper, television, and digital. In staying with the theme of local people, local trust, both the print and television ad conveys the same message. The point is to illustrate the importance of the integrated strategy across the entire multimedia platform that is available, essentially. I hope you found this chapter useful, and please feel free to reach out to me should you have any questions.